All right. Well, welcome everyone. Good morning. Thank you all so much for joining us today for our final quarterly CTAC and WDAC meeting that we have combined here for our final convening. Many of you here have been joining us since the inception of both of these advisory committees 3 years ago. It's crazy how time flies. But as this phase one of this eTruck project is coming to a close, we are excited to share with you the work that has been done and how we have incorporated the input we have received from many of you throughout these project activities. Next slide, please. So we'll do a brief introduction of our team, of the eTruck team present here today, as well as a quick project overview for any folks that are perhaps joining us for the first time or maybe haven't joined us in a while. So just a quick context setting of the project overview and an overview of the two advisory committees, the CTAC and the WDAC. And then we'll jump into high-level overview of the two final reports that we want to share with you today. And then the CalSTART team has some project updates for you all as well. And we'll share with you all about some of their resources and published tools, and just also looking ahead for this project. Then we'll open it up after that for some Q&A, any questions that you all have on anything that the team presented, and any feedback that you all have for the team as well. And then we'll just wrap it up with some closing remarks and be on our way on the hour here. So quick meeting here. So again, my name is Giovanni Hernandez. I'm the Clean Mobility Program Manager with Grid Alternatives. And I'll send it off to, I'm not sure if Stella's on the call, but I believe Shamika is on the call. So.
Good morning, everyone. Hi, my name is Shamika Dixon, and I'm the Director of Workforce Development, and happy to be here with you all today.
And then also want to kick it off to Domi to introduce himself as well.
Hello, everybody. Yes, I'm Don Rapturo, and I'm a project manager on this project here, and yeah, with Grid Alternatives here in Los Angeles.
All right, and the CalSTART team.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Giovanna Escamilla, Associate Project Manager. Thank you all for joining us. And I'll pass it over to Liz.
Hi, good morning. Liz Hellier, Lead Project Manager on the Clean Fuels and Infrastructure team at CalSTART. Thank you all for being here. I'll pass it on to Lisa.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'm Lisa Wagner, Associate Project Manager, also on the Clean Fuels and Infrastructure team, and I will pass it to Erin.
Thank you, Lisa. Erin Wimberly, also on the Clean Fuels and Infrastructure team, Lead Project Manager, Industry. Thanks.
All right. Thanks for the introductions. So we'll do a quick project overview for anyone who, wants a quick refresher on this. So eTruck's project purpose is to create a research hub in California to accelerate the heavy-duty drayage vehicle market in key areas. We had a few goals and objectives. So this includes advancing the research, development, and demonstration needed to extend the delivery range of heavy-duty battery electric trucks, and that begins with drayage. Next is engaging broad stakeholders to ensure eTruck utilizes community feedback and input to promote community engagement and workforce development with a community-first approach. And lastly, the project aims to plan, design, and deploy innovative public corridor charging strategies for battery electric trucks. And again, this all begins with drayage. And then a quick overview, since we do have both our CTAC and WDAC advisory committees with us today. So for the Community First Technology Advisory Committee, this goal was to use a community first engagement framework to ensure that pollution impacted, underserved, and tribal communities are involved in creating and guiding the eTruck initiative. So our objectives were to inform the project on community engagement and needs, to help us disseminate and solicit input on project activities from community members and groups, to promote equity in priority communities, and to foster a community-driven partnership for technology and zero-emission freight corridors. And then for the WDAC, the goal here was to ensure that the pollution impacted, underserved, and tribal communities are involved in creating and guiding e-truck, and that these priority communities benefit from the larger clean energy transition and heavy-duty electrification, getting jobs created, and other economic opportunities. And the objectives for the WDAC were to inform the project on workforce development needs and desired impacts for priority communities, to communicate project activities to relevant key partners and stakeholders, to promote equity and workforce development opportunities in priority communities, and to foster workforce development partnerships in the targeted priority communities. And I will pass it over to Giovanni to give us an overview of the final reports.
Thank you so much, Gia. All right, so one of the deliverables for this project was to draft a community engagement and equity implementation final report, as well as a workforce development report. So the project team completed both final reports last month. I'll be providing a very high-level overview for both of these reports. However, due to the limited time that we have during this meeting, I will only provide a summarized version of some key takeaways to some of the chapters for each of the reports. The CalSTAR team will then later share with you all the plan for making these reports publicly available so that you can all then access them and do a deeper dive at your leisure, of course. And for the sake of time, I kindly ask that you please hold your questions until the end, as we have allotted time for Q&A after the project team has completed their presentations. So for this first report here, for the Community Engagement and Equity Implementation Report, the goal was to bring community stakeholders into the heart of infrastructure planning, right? And to ensure that it was a community-first approach. Next slide, please. So over the course of this initiative, the project convened a Community First Technology Advisory Committee, the CTAC for short, partnered with local community-based organizations, and launched a community survey to gather input on charging infrastructure, citing community concerns and priorities. Through the CTAC and partnerships with local organizations, the project gathered on-the-ground feedback to inform where and how charging sites should be located. Our efforts were guided by the aligning of technology deployment with equity and environmental justice. This effort has been about more than just technology. It's been about also ensuring that clean transportation solutions deliver real benefits to the community most affected by freight pollution. And so the recommendations outlined in this report and that you'll hear about, some of the summarized key takeaways, provide a blueprint for future phases and for state and national efforts to build a zero-emission freight corridors. Next slide, please. Lessons learned from the project highlight both the challenges and opportunities of sustaining long-term engagement, bridging technical and community knowledge gaps, and aligning infrastructure development with equity and environmental justice goals. We learned that sustained community engagement requires intentional investment, compensation for partners, accessible materials, and ongoing dialogue. Bridging technical and community knowledge gaps is also essential. People want to understand how these technologies work and will work, right? And how they'll impact their neighborhoods. Also, again, in the next section, we'll dive more into workforce development, but it's something that always came up, even in our conversations around, community stakeholder engagement, health outcomes, community outcomes. Workforce development was always at the forefront of folks' minds. And so embedding workforce development and multilingual outreach strengthens trust and creates pathways for local residents to benefit. Ultimately, aligning infrastructure goals with community priorities results in cleaner air and equitable economic growth. Next slide, please. So early in the initiative, we learned from CTAC members, right? We had robust discussions early on, seeking feedback and input. We even had early on a subcommittee meeting where we learned how the eTruck project aligns closely with a lot of priorities from various CBOs that are doing similar work in communities, but also with statewide goals for workforce preparation, community engagement, and economic recovery. Additionally, by centering environmental justice, the project also supports California's broader commitment to reducing pollution in disadvantaged communities. CTAC members also indicated that data analysis like NOx concentration, vehicle miles traveled, and GIS-based pollution mapping can provide the evidence base to track progress and community health impacts. Next slide, please. CTAC discussions also underscored the need for deeper long-term collaboration with community-based organizations, nonprofits, and environmental justice orgs, et cetera, et cetera. We also heard clear concerns around displacement and small business impacts that must be proactively addressed and mitigated. Education and training programs are key to empowering residents to participate meaningfully and benefit from the transition to zero-emission trucks. And we'll hear a little bit more about this piece on education to just the community at large. At future engagements, future engagements, we learned need to be inclusive across languages, access needs, and local contexts. Next slide, please. So to ground our work in community perspectives, the eTruck team conducted a community survey in partnership with 6 CBOs that received a stipend, collecting nearly 200 valid responses. Some key findings from this survey to highlight here are residents in freight impacted areas overwhelmingly support zero emission freight, but want a real say in where stations are placed. Top concerns for residents included air quality, safety, and displacement, alongside a strong desire for transparency and clear communication. Many participants were unfamiliar with zero-emission vehicle technology, but were eager to learn, showing the importance of ongoing broad community education for this sector. Perhaps most importantly, respondents see charging stations as potential community assets, bringing cleaner air, local jobs, and health benefits. For this particular analysis in the report, I want to give a special shout out to Linda Kamusian from the GRID team for her assistance on this survey analysis. Next slide, please. So these recommendations that emerge from the CTAC and partner insights and community input form a blueprint for future phases of the e-truck project. So these recommendations focus on the 6 pillars that you see on screen. And they draw from direct experience, CTAC feedback, and cross-sector partner insights, as I mentioned. So together, they form a blueprint of actionable next steps to strengthen community engagement, accelerate technology adoption, and maximize health, environmental, and economic outcomes for priority communities. Next slide, please. Some of these specific key recommendations include, for example, launching advisory committees after project milestones are set and not too early in the project, to be able to maintain engagement and focus, to also compensate community partners and organize site visits so members can see the technology in action and in person, as well as engaging communities before sites are chosen via town halls, surveys, ride and drive events to build familiarity and excitement as well. And for stakeholder engagement, expand partnerships to include healthcare institutions, schools, local governments, and aligning public health and infrastructure goals so they go hand in hand and not treated in silos. In terms of communication and public awareness, using multilingual outreach, community events, and social media to reach residents early and often, and frame charging hubs as community assets. So, not only speak about the charging it offers, right, to zero emission, transport, but how it benefits communities and always reminding the community of the different benefits that can come with it, right? Protecting communities in the transition. Again, this is a topic that came up very early on and throughout, and avoiding displacement and using adaptive policies that address local realities while ensuring disadvantaged communities benefit from cleaner air and new job opportunities. And then lastly, collaborating with trusted organizations that can bridge environmental, economic, and community priorities, ensuring solutions are both equitable and technically sound. Next slide, please. All right, so by aligning technology deployment with community priorities, the e-truck initiative demonstrates how zero emission freight can serve as a model for cleaner air, healthier neighborhoods, and equitable economic growth, offering a replicable framework for scaling high-powered charging corridors nationwide. Taken together, these recommendations reflect the heart of the project's community-first approach, ensuring that zero-emission freight corridor development is not only technologically sound, but also socially equitable, environmentally just, and deeply rooted in local priorities. By sequencing engagement thoughtfully, securing sustained resources, centering public health, and integrating workforce and economic benefits into every stage, future phases of this initiative can deliver cleaner air, healthier neighborhoods, and expanded opportunities for those most affected by freight-related pollution. These actions would position the project as more than just an infrastructure effort. It would be a replicable model for how state and national zero emission strategies can advance climate goals while strengthening communities, fostering trust, and creating benefits for generations to come. So with that, next slide, please. I will now pivot to provide key takeaways from the Workforce Development Final Report. So this document is more dense, longer, a bit more technical than the community engagement one that I just went over. So my high-level summary will really not do it justice. Want to just set those expectations. There's so much to dig in. This could be its own call. Really, like we can go for like a whole hour on just this report alone, both of them really, but this one's much longer. So just want to manage expectations here. But I also, before I really dive in, I also want to give another shout out to Domi Pituro from the grid team for all his hard work and time spent on this specific report as well. So next slide, please. All right, so this report highlights California's effort to electrify freight transportation while ensuring the workforce transition is both equitable and effective. We'll walk through some key findings again, some workforce gaps and actionable strategies called out in the report that can make this transition inclusive and sustainable. The electrification of heavy-duty trucks is central to California's clean transportation goals, but it also requires a skilled and ready workforce. Our North Star has been ensuring that the communities most affected by freight pollution are also those gaining the most from these new high-quality job opportunities. Next slide, please. So just some things to call out here. Our analysis identified significant training and access gaps across the zero-emission vehicle workforce ecosystem. And the eTruck project also developed data-driven planning tools to ensure that communities most impacted by freight pollution benefit from new high-quality jobs by helping align workforce development with regional needs and community priorities. The CalSTAR team will actually be presenting on some of these resources and published tools following my presentation. Next slide, please. Moving along to some challenges our team identified. Currently, there's no unified standard for electric truck or EV charging training. Each original equipment manufacturer uses its own system, which fragments the labor pool. Also, many training programs are also expensive or restricted, creating barriers for smaller employers and individuals from disadvantaged areas. Community colleges are stepping up, but offerings are uneven and often 2-degree focused rather than short-term or stackable. Finally, there's a big leap from entry-level to advanced certifications like EVITP. And what's needed is mid-level, stackable credentials to bridge this gap that exists. Next slide, please. The 710 corridor is a clear example of communities most burdened by freight pollution and who often have the least access to emerging job opportunities. The project team specifically calls out in the report that localized hubs that combine charging, training, and job placement can serve as equity anchors, ensuring frontline communities benefit directly from electrification. Next slide, please. As part of this body of work, a job postings analysis was conducted by one of our wonderful WDAC committee members, which this is my next shout out, is for Dr. Crystal Rawls from Cal State Dominguez Hills Workforce Integration Network. Using data from the Lightcast job posting data set for Q2 of 2025, it was filtered to include occupations relevant to the EV charging and zero emissions transportation sector. These job postings were analyzed by state, occupation, skill demand, and employer behavior. It is important to note, though, that job postings provide a useful indicator of employer intent, but do not directly represent verified labor demand or hiring volume. Some key points to highlight for you all on this analysis. The data shows that there's strong employer demand, especially for electricians, depot construction managers, and software integrated technicians, but the workforce isn't ready yet. In other words, demand is outpacing supply. Most postings cluster around major metropolitan cities, leaving inland and rural regions underrepresented. And many jobs also overemphasize degrees, excluding experienced workers without formal credentials, and how smaller operators also often hire informally, and escaping traditional data sets. Lastly, emerging job roles are not well classified in existing labor databases, complicating alignment of training programs with real-world demand. Again, there's so much more to this analysis, and I encourage you all to really dig deep and into it once it is publicly made available. Next slide, please. So the project team also has quite an extensive list of recommendations within the report that we just do not have the time to go through all of it today. But the following are some key recommendations, such as building clear entry and advancement tracks that make it easier to grow skills over time. Also, we recommend short practical courses that are 1 to 3 weeks that can bring new talent in faster and more equitably into the sector. And the creation of stackable credentials that employers recognize and workers can build on without hitting dead ends. Also, to make this work, workforce funding must be built into every zero emission vehicle infrastructure project and not treated as an afterthought. And by aligning policy with industry demands and education pathways, we can accelerate readiness and make sure benefits flow to those who need them the most. Next slide, please. This transition is long-term. A fair and resilient transition to zero-emission transportation demands an innovative and coordinated workforce development strategy, one that aligns access with necessity and ensures that those most impacted by pollution and economic marginalization are also those most empowered to lead this transformation. This blueprint outlined in this report offers a practical, actionable pathway forward. With intentional coordination, strategic investment, and community-rooted implementation, Southern California can serve as a national model for equitable workforce transformation in the clean energy era. I will now turn it over to the CalSTAR team for their portion of the presentation. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for the overview of those two reports. Those will be up soon. We'll be talking about that. But yeah, thank you. All right. So getting into some of our updates and looking ahead. In 2024, we published a few reports and tools. So these include the Alternative Charging Technology Evaluation and R&D Plan, the Battery Electric Truck Status Technical Memo, the Freight Industry Outreach Memo for Zero Emission Truck Infrastructure Community Engagement, the Fleet Charging Infrastructure Needs and Technology Maturity Assessment, the High Power Charging Technology Maturity Assessment, and the California Regional Freight Heat Map, which we have presented on. In 2025, we've published a few tools too. So earlier this year, the ZEV Training Hub went up on the eTruck website, which we have talked about in our advisory committee meetings. If you guys know of any ZEV trainings not already in the tool, please do submit them so we can add. We also have the Heat Map 2.0. So this week, we will be publishing the California Modeled Energy Consumption Map that will explore modeled estimations of energy consumption from electric truck charging in the state of California. This will include an equity layer, which we have received advisory committee feedback on in previous meetings. So check that out soon. It'll be up this week on the eTruck website. We also will be publishing the workforce development mapping tool soon. This will map future labor needs for heavy-duty electric vehicle charging projects across California and will highlight job growth hotspots and training gaps. You'll be able to find out more about all of these tools on our social media and website. So go ahead, scan that QR code below for easier access. Okay, another update. So for the Advanced Transportation Research Center, the current capabilities are to test instruments designed for CCS standards, testing the validation of heavy-duty vehicles and their charging systems using these connectors, and hardware in the loop testing and laboratory connectivity. Next steps for this lab in Pomona is to deploy instruments and resources supporting 1 megawatt charging. Applicant review process. So if you know of anyone, send them over to apply on the eTruck website. And then for the demonstration sites, construction has started on both the Ontario and Carson sites, and these are forecasted with a go live date of 2026. So the work is happening and we are reaching the go live. So, in the coming year or so, you can expect a few more technical documents and maps from eTruck. So, this first one is Planning Tool or Heat Map 3.0. We'll also have the statewide corridor charging infrastructure deployment plan. There will be the battery electric vehicle toolkit on the website. Also, eTruck's guidebook to advanced BEV charging. We'll also have the high power charging equipment research and development report and the technology transfer summary report. So keep up with us again on social media, check the website. That's where you can find out more about these. And I will pass it over to Liz to give us an overview of Heat Map 3.0.
Thanks, Gia. All right, so next up here are the latest updates on our work in identifying heavy-duty infrastructure needs in California. So just as a reminder, some key milestones that were met in 2024 and 2025 in these efforts were, in the first instance, kind of understanding freight travel patterns and also kind of the future needs of the freight industry in terms of charging. So we did publish on the eTruck website the fleet charging infrastructure needs and technology maturity assessment, and also HEMAP 1.0, which includes the data that we've collected on the major freight routes in California and kind of their travel patterns in California to really understand where charging needs are going to be needed in the future. And then in 2025, we've been really focusing on identifying where charging stations are going to be needed statewide. And so the metric that we've used here is energy demand or energy consumption. So where are we seeing kind of hotspots of where trucks are, through our modeling efforts, needing to stop to be able to charge and continue kind of and complete their end route. And so that is HEMAP 2.0, which will be published this week also. So please be on the lookout there for the announcement and the publication of our kind of charging needs modeling efforts. And here we can see Q4 2025 is the finalization of the site prioritization framework. Again, we've incorporated a lot of feedback here from the CTAC and WDAC, through the advisory committee review feedback. So we have kind of key equity metrics and criteria that we have now incorporated into the third version of the HEMAP, which we're calling HEMAP 3.0, which is the final planning tool, which is being used as the basis for the statewide infrastructure plan, which is a report that will be also available in December of this year. Certain sections will be sent out to the CTAC and WDAC for review, as we kind of cover the equity scenario, for example, of the infrastructure plan. And so if we go to the next slide, here is an example of some of the equity metrics that we have now included in this planning tool. And and is being used to identify where the best locations would be for charging infrastructure in California. As a reminder, we're not specifying a specific site, right, or a plot of land for the charging station, but we're looking at a general area and hotspots for these charging stations, as this is a planning tool, which then can be used by developers to do an in-depth analysis of where would be where land in the first place is available for purchase for these charging stations, or if they have an existing warehouse or depot that they can convert into private charging as well. So the first step is identifying where trucks need to charge. And so the metric used here is the energy consumption, which you can see the yellow lines indicate where there is a higher need for a charging station. So here we're looking at a riverside area, so in Southern California. As you can see, there is there in the middle of the map a very clear yellow road segment where we know a charging station is going to be needed. We've also incorporated data here on where stations are currently being planned or in development as we speak, or open, as you can see there by the green station. And then the next step is including the CTAC and WDAC feedback on what equity metrics are needed in this planning tool effort. So some of the feedback that we've gotten, for example, from the CTAC is to avoid rerouting trucks into residential neighborhoods in the first instance. And then in the second instance, making sure that those that are the most affected by the pollution burden will get the highest benefits of these charging stations in these areas. And so some of the metrics we've incorporated here, for example, are disadvantaged communities or priority populations. We are also looking here at land use. So for example, avoiding residential neighborhoods and focusing hotspots on warehousing and industrial areas as priority areas. So as you can see here, we've added the land use layer that you can see on the left-hand side in the legend. And so here we've highlighted some spots where we have identified a high need for a station, but also just off of a freeway exit. So we're keeping these stations within 1 to 2 miles of the freeway exit to avoid rerouting into residential neighborhoods, which you can see by the 3 white circles on this map here. And finally, the final layer that we have included here as part of discussions that we've been having with the CTAC are cycle lanes, which are represented here by those red lines. And so avoiding rerouting trucks kind of to cross over some of the major cycle lanes of the region there. So that's something that we're taking into account when identifying areas for charging stations. And so this is part of the effort of the equity scenario, which is included in the final deployment plan, which will be shortly going out for advisory committee review to the CTAC and WDAC in mid-November. So please be on the lookout for more information on this. And I'll pass it back to Giovanni.
Wonderful. Thank you all so much, Liz and Gia, for that. So at this point, we'd love to turn it over to our attendees, our CTAC, WDAC members present. Would love to hear any questions that you all have. And we also do have some prepared 2 questions for you all, but I want to first see if there's any questions from you all first. I see Dr. Wilma Franco has her hand up. Go ahead.
Hi, Giovanni. Good morning, everyone. Sorry, I'm driving, so I was like, I can't turn on my camera. But I wanted to, say congrats, Giovanni. I mean, you and I have worked on a couple of projects together. I am so in awe of your leadership and everything that you do. So thank you for that. I am trying to process everything that was just shared, but there's a lot of alignment. And I know we work with Stella and Grid on our regional climate collaborative, which is funded by Strategic Growth Council. But I think one of the things that we are doing with our Stella Leaders Network is that we're getting ready to announce we're opening up for partners to join if there's a desire to kind of share on some of our partners like work with our leaders. But I feel like this is one of those opportunities where it would be extremely valuable to have you present the report and the findings to our Cellular Leaders Network here in the Southeast, right? That does include, from community members all the way to our congressional representative. So I wanted to kind of offer that to you all. And then I also sit on the advisory for the Pacific Southwest PSR UTC with USC. So wondering if there's an opportunity for us to also connect with them and sharing some of these findings. But I wanted to share that with you. And also a reminder, the Census 2030 is coming. I know you and I worked on that, but I am on we got to start working on this. Just another thing to add to all of our to-do list. But thank you so much, everyone.
Dr. Wilma Franco, it's always good to hear from you. I'm glad you were able to join us. I'm always inspired with everything that you do, your leadership, and everything that you've been doing for the Southeast communities. And so thank you for your kind words. And also thank you for the invitation to be able to, as you mentioned, present some of these findings, right, for the whole CELA collab as a whole. And so Liz, Gia, let's talk offline about how we can make that happen, and we can get back to Dr. Franco on that. And I'm not sure, yeah, we can discuss offline logistics and all that, ideas for that. And I have not forgotten about my census responsibilities, Dr. Wilma Franco. So we'll see. We'll talk about that some other time. All right. I see Commissioner Badejo. Welcome.
Yes, always a pleasure. I am just sitting here smiling, so happy, because this is it was like a great piece of art that you just put together. This would be something that many groups and efforts can reflect upon as we continue to build, community in the space of infrastructure and the new face of workforce development. So I'm just proud of everyone, and I want to thank each and every group who participated, CalStart Grid, the community groups, because I'm seeing the connectivity and how this will be utilized in the future, really present to help build a brighter future. I'm working on a California Jobs First Catalyst grant, and so I will be utilizing this material as well and in other spaces. So I will connect offline, but I just wanted to say how proud I am. I know it wasn't easy, but it is beautiful. And I have, I guess, one question. Will this recording also be emailed to us?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Thank you all. You are the bomb.
Commissioner Badejo, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to have you here. And you've been also one of those advisory committee members that has been with us since the very, very beginning. And you've sat on both committees and has provided invaluable input to us. And you also, I want to thank you for also just bringing in new folks and new leaders, right? From Watts and from folks that you collaborate with different neighborhood councils and other organizations locally that you have brought into this space that have also provided a lot of wonderful input and guidance for this project. So that does not go unnoticed, and I wanted to make sure I thanked you for that as well. And yes, as you saw me nod, we will be providing meeting summary, a copy of the presentation, and a link to the recording of this to everyone. And it will also be posted on the eTruck website as well. Are there any other questions that folks may have? If not, we'd also love to hear from folks, as phase one of this project comes to a close. Are there any final thoughts, feedback, reactions that you'd love to share with the project team? And also, have you engaged already with any eTruck materials and resources, and how have they been useful in your work. And like we heard from some of our colleagues already, how do you think you would be able to apply some of these resources and or findings from these final reports to achieve your organizational objectives? So we'd love to hear from any of you on any of that or answer any questions that folks have. But we ended a little earlier than we thought, so we have the space and time for that. And maybe while we wait, I'm not sure if there's anyone from the eTruck team that maybe wants to expand a little bit on something that maybe they felt rushed on, or something that hasn't been covered that you'd like to share. This could be a good opportunity for that.
Gio, I can chime in a little bit since I was in the weeds with you on the report. This has been an amazing report. I mean, when I came in with all you last year to dig in and all this and to put all this stuff together. But there really is a phase 2 coming up. We could see it when we were doing it, just because now we've consolidated this information, but we're just beginning this whole process in the region, and connecting the dots to all these different little elements is going to be super important. Like what we discussed, in the meeting, like, streamlining the training, connecting to the training organizations, to community colleges, universities, training organizations, and then connecting also to industry. So connecting industry and then, government, organizations as well, because especially too, I mean, there's going to be a lot of this activity, around the Port of LA and Port of Long Beach, and then just looking at the corridor, making sure it's all coordinated together. It's just going to be a lot of just, organizing, and we're just at the beginning of this, and this is literally just kind of like overviewing everything, and amazing too, looking at the maps too, Liz and Gianna and Lisa. It was great to see all that. We need to now actually dig in and get this stuff done. So it's just, there's going to be a lot of just knitting these things together.
Thank you, Domi. Seeing if there's any questions in the chat here.
I just want to say thank you to the entire eTruck team. That includes the CEC, EPRI, CalSTAR, and Grid Alternatives, especially for supporting our community engagement and workforce development efforts. We've been having these meetings for about 3 years now. And thanks for showing up to a founding member, Tuan, to this last meeting. But yeah, thank you everyone for your participation in these meetings. They've been great. Really helped us with the community first approach of this project. And sad to see it end, but yeah. Oh, yes, Tuan.
Tuan.
Everybody,
Hi, Tuan.
thank you for inviting me. I just want to say I'm so proud of, the entire project team. I know how much work went into the past 3 years of all your amazing work, engaging with the communities, creating and building workforce development from the ground up. It's definitely really amazing to see how it all wraps up. I'm with LA County now doing public and fleet charging. So and we're looking to see how the county can build a local workforce through the work that we're doing with EV charging deployment. So I'm really excited to dive deeper into the workforce final report and take all the lessons learned from the amazing work you guys have done and implement it on the county side. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Tuan. Love having you here. The floor is open, so we'd love to hear from a couple more folks. We do have just a couple more minutes here, but we do have the space to hear from a couple more folks here. Rodney, Commissioner Rodney. Go ahead.
What's up, Giovanni? I just have to say something because, I'm still trying to pull it together. It's coming to an end. But Shamika and you guys are the bomb, and thank you so much for the work you guys do. It's very informative. Thanks.
Thank you. There's such kind words from you, and it was really good to see you at the Ride and Drive event that took place over the summer. And I appreciate also your leadership and all the wonderful feedback and input you provided us as well for these reports. So thank you for that. I see Dr. Burnett, Dr. Marlin. Sorry, I butchered your last name.
No problem at all. Thanks a lot, Giovanni. It was close. It's Bornett.
Bornett, thank you.
Yeah. Hey, I just wanted, well, first of all, thank you to you and all the team. I know I have not been able to come to as many of these meetings as I would have liked, but not for any lack of interest. This is really good work. Dr. Wilma Franco mentioned trying to link out to the universities, and I direct the Pacific Southwest Region University Transportation Center that she mentioned. So I just want to give a shout out. I'll contact her and you offline. And yeah, there's a lot of ways that we could probably get you all in for a seminar or something like that to bring the results to the university. I'll send some emails offline to start that discussion.
Sounds wonderful, Dr. Bornett. And it's so good to hear from you. I'm glad you could make it today. Yeah, we would love that. I can definitely loop in the rest of the eTruck team when I hear from you, and then we can figure out logistics for that.
All right, sounds good. Appreciate it. Looking
Thank
forward
you for
to
joining us today. Really love having you here today.
Yeah, it's great work.
Thank you. All right, I want to see if Miss Stella joined us. I don't see her.
Please. Hello, Giovanni.
Oh, here you are, Miss Stella. There you are. Okay, I didn't see your name.
Yeah, no, I'm calling in, and my apologies to you and everyone. I am in the state of Querétaro, Mexico, and so I'm on vacation. But I really wanted to be here for this last call. And first off, to thank you, Giovanni, as the program manager. You did a fantastic job with this project. This was something brand new for the grid organization. We spent spend all of our time in solar energy and clean energy, et cetera. We've done a number of huge projects in solar, but this was a new lane for us, pun intended. And so we learned so much from this process. When they first asked us to be when CalSTART first asked us to be part of this project, we're like, wow, we don't know anything about trucks. We don't know anything about charging infrastructure, et cetera. So we also learned quite a bit, about this whole industry. And so we were very, very excited to work on this. We were excited to have all of the partners that we brought to the table. I mean, we only see a few folks on the call right now, but originally we probably had, between 40 to 60 different organizations on the calls that we started 3 years ago, as Gia just mentioned. And so just want to say thank you to everybody, to the folks that put in all the hard work. We are so thrilled to have been part of this. And truly the reports that we created are amazing. It provides future organizations with a bird's eye view of all the work that was completed, all of the research that went into this. So thank you to you, to Dr. Rawls, Domi, Shamika, everyone that worked on this. If I forget anybody, please forgive me. But this was just a great opportunity for us. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ms. Stella. Nate. Hello, Nate. Always nice to see your face.
Hey, Gio. Hey, everyone. Not much for me to say now. I think everyone's really said everything that could be said, but just want to say it's so nice seeing you, Tuan. Tuan, I'm so proud of you. The team over at Grid, been amazing to work with you all, working through some challenges and making sure we get good products, good deliverables, and incorporate all this feedback. And really, it's just up to us now to make sure that we disseminate all these learnings. So the work hasn't ended at all. We're making sure the CEC and all these funding agencies get their eyes on all the guidance that you all have been providing here at these advisory committee meetings. So we're still going to be out there championing you and all your great feedback. So thanks again to the team and then also everyone here who's been given such good feedback and guidance throughout the project. Can't believe it's been 4 years. I remember it was just me, Tuan, and Stella getting all of this started, and then thankfully Gio came and Shamika to help out, and Lisa and Gia. It's really grown, and so thank you all. Great job, and we'll keep all the good work going.
Thank you, Nate. Really appreciate those lovely words. So it looks like we're coming up on time here. I want to show our emails if we can move to the next slide. So this is the Grid Team's email. So from now until the end of the year, you could reach out to any of us. But I think beyond this year, you definitely want to reach out to the CalSTART team. Right, so on the next slide, you'll have the contacts for the CalSTART team. So just in all transparency, Grid's contract will come to an end at the end of this year for this grant, for this project. So beyond this year, so starting January 2026, you can reach out to the CalSTART team for any requests, partnerships, etc. on related to eTruck. And with that, I just want to express deep gratitude to the state of California for funding projects like this, the CEC, having that vision, and CalSTART. Thank you so much for thinking of us, for having us, and just for also all your hard work and guidance and leadership in this space. As Ms. Stella mentioned, it was a new lane for us, but we would not have been able to do it also without your guidance and experience and expertise. So really enjoyed working with many of you from the CalSTART team to be able to get us here to this finish line. So with that, I want to thank everyone else for joining us today, taking the time. It was really, really nice to see and hear from many of you, and glad that you could join us. I hope that you all stay safe and that we can all stay in touch and that our paths shall cross once again. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Giovanni. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, CalSTART, EPRI. Thanks to the CEC.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Gio. Thank you, Stella, Shamika. Thank you, Giovanna, Lisa, Liz, everybody. Nathan. It's great.
Take care, everyone.